everybody, in this video you'll learn about partial methods in C#. The agenda of my video will be what are partial methods, syntax and declaration of partial methods, important rules for a partial method. So let's get started. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to create a console application in Visual Studio. Okay, so here I've created a console application in Visual Studio. First, let's talk about what is a partial method. Basically, a partial method is just similar to a partial class that we have already discussed about. And if you have not seen that video, I will strongly recommend you to go see that video before watching this one. And like I was saying, which we have already talked about, even a partial method is split into two parts. The first part is its implementation, and its second part is its signature. Okay, so now over here, I just want to share some more points with you about partial methods. The first one is that these two parts, like I've already said, the signature and the implementation, can either be in the same file or different files, different class files. And for where it can be declared, it can be only declared inside partial classes and partial structures. Okay, so now let's take a look at how we can declare a partial method. So I'm just going to take this partial class over here. So in my case, student partial1.cs. So this is a partial class. Okay, so let's take a look at how we can declare it. I'm just going to zoom in over there. Okay, so inside of here, what you have to do, you have to first specify the signature. So we're going to say the signature is partial in return type. So let's say it returns nothing. Partial void, then give it a name. So I'm going to say student info. Add bracket, and instead of the pair of curly brackets which you're used to, we just have a semicolon. And we'll have some properties over here inside of this partial class. So prop tab is going to be int, call this ID. So we'll even have another property, prop, this is going to be a string type, string, and I'm going to call this name. So now we should have the implementation for this method. So let's do that in student partial2.cs. So just create public void print student info. What was the name of info? Yeah, print student info. And the body for this method, it takes no parameter, and the body for this method is going to be console.writeLine. We're going to say ID, and actually we'll have a $sign over here, which I've already explained about. So ID is going to be set to the ID. For that we're going to display the ID properties value, and then we'll have name. For this, we're going to display name. Okay, just like that. So after that, we are going to call this method student info over here. Info. Okay, now we're calling that method. Now what happens is that first, when the program compiles, that time, like I said, these partial classes will get joined. The partial parts will get joined together to form one class. That is a normal class with the name student. Okay? In that class, we have a partial method. So the compiler will search if there's any methods like this. And in our case, we have one. So it's going to look at this. And now it's going to start searching for the implementation. If it didn't find any implementation for this, then it's just going to ignore that. And if it did, in our case, which it should be true, it did find the implementation, that's over here, then we'll write onto the console ID, the value of ID, and name and the value of name. And then it's going to call this method over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to program.cs. I'm going to create an object of the student class. So of course, student new student, just like that. And then we're going to set the properties. So student, our object name, that we're going to set ID property to be 10. And we're going to set the name property to be actions. So student.name, I'm going to set this to actions. Semicolon. And then we're going to call the method. Okay. That print student info, student.print student info. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the program. Control plus F9 or run my program. So you can see the output on the console is ID is 10, which it is, and the name is actions. If I provide some other values over here, then it's going to change appropriately. So now it's going to say that the access modifier, it's not over here, it's over here. The default access modifier for a partial method is private. If we explicitly kind of specify that over there, then we're going to get an error. So let's just do that and see what's going to happen. So type private and we get an error. So that's what I was talking about. So let's see what the error is. A partial method cannot have access modifiers or the virtual abstract override new seal or the external modifiers. So it cannot have that. Now let me prove that this is by default private. I'm going to go to program.cs and the method we are calling over here is this method that internally calls this method. So we try to call over here student info, which I will. So we will get an error. Okay, and yeah, we get the error. Let's just check. Student info is inaccessible due to its protection level. Of course, when it's private, you can't access it over here, right? And over here, I can't apply any other access modifier also. No access modifiers are allowed for partial methods. So now I just missed to add the implementation for the student info method. What we were doing is we were just executing that by this print student info method. There's no body for this. Like I said, it's gonna get ignored now, and this is gonna get executed. So now let's go ahead and add the body for the student info method. So I'm gonna say student info. Partial student info. Partial, and it gives me a suggestion, student info. Then instead of throwing a new non-implemented exception, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in console.writeLine, and I'm going to print out a partial method execute. Okay. And now over here, I remember, yeah, we have called the student info method, and it is not accessible, so just call print student info. So how we do this is that we create another method, okay, and inside of that method we internally call this method that we have, the partial method, okay. That's how you can do it. And now let's go ahead and run the program and check what it's going to do. So just click Control plus F5 in order to run my program, okay. So as you can see, the output is even partial method executed. And now I'm just going to go and close that. I want to share some important points with you about partial methods. Of course, you cannot have a duplicate partial method. It means you cannot have like two student info partial methods. You'll get an error. Okay, you cannot have them duplicate. And the next thing is that over here in the implementation, we can only have the return type as void. Okay, I'm going to change it to string, and even over here I'm going to change it to a string. So string partial1.cs, and even this is gonna be string, just like that. And by now itself we get an error. So partial methods should have a void return type. Okay, so we have got that error. Your partial methods, or you can mark them as static. Static partial string. Instead of returning string, I'm gonna return void. Okay, so info and do the same thing over here. Static partial string and should return void, means return nothing. So I'll change that from string to void, just like that. Now we have no errors. So that has proven that you can make your partial methods, or you can mark them as static. Okay. So one more thing with partial methods are that reference parameters are allowed, but out parameters are not allowed. Even normal parameters are allowed, but I'm just going to show you an example of reference parameters. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say ref string name. Do that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this, do the same changes over here also. Ref string name, and I'm gonna go over here. Okay, and now actually we should pass in that parameter. So in order to do that, I'm gonna declare a name variable, string name, and initialize this to be the property name. Okay, we can't pass in properties as out parameters. Ref parameters. So ref name. So ref name. And inside of here, instead of printing out virtual method executed, what I'm going to print out is name colon. We'll have the dollar sign, name colon, and then we'll have that placeholder over here. Name colon. Inside of here, what we're going to do is we're going to place in the. And now what we're going to do as the name parameter. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just run the program and check what will be that. But inside of this program.cs file, we even pass the name property set to options. Okay, so it should actually print out name colon options. So let's just run the program by clicking Control plus F5. Okay, as you can see, the output is options, and this thing on the top is because we have called the print student info method. Inside of here, we are actually printing out ID and name. Okay. And now if I come over here and change ref to out, then I will get an error. So let's just do that. Out. And as you can see, we have an error. Okay. Let's take a look at what the error is. It says a partial method cannot have out parameters. Okay, it can only have ref parameters. So this is proven that a partial method can only have ref parameters, not out parameters. So now you might be wondering about when do we really use these partial methods. So take an example of LINQ and Entity Framework. There, partial methods are heavily used. So when you're driving a table, that time a lot of partial methods are created. So these partial methods later can be extended with the custom logic. Okay, I'll be explaining about these concepts in one of my later videos. So